All right, so where was I headed? You got a game against Pitt coming up, and with Miami being a pretty substantial favorite in most of these games, 14 points against Virginia Tech, 18 points against Georgia Tech, they are like a 6-point underdog to a Pitt team on the road at HEINZ Field. I don't know that weather's going to be a factor. It's beautiful right now in Connecticut, so I would expect that not to be the case for this Pitt-Miami matchup.
Yeah, I think that that Vegas has come around on the Canes. I think that the SP Plus, my former SB Nation, now ESPN staff writer friend Bill Connolly, his proprietary advanced metric predictive system. All those things are going not necessarily in my actually no. SP Plus has Miami still favored or projected to win. We'll call it. But no, Vegas has Miami. It opened at Pittsburgh as a 2-point favorite with a 46 over-under. Now the line has moved to Pittsburgh as a 6-point favorite and a 43.5 over-under total for the game. So yeah, it is. It's just one of those things where you kind of have to trust your eyes. And it's one of those things like, are you gonna trust me or your lying eyes? Well, I mean, my lying eyes are telling me that you guys aren't playing really well, and Pittsburgh is, and they're going to be at home. And 2 years ago in 2017, they're the team that broke Miami. If we're being perfectly honest, that team Miami went in at 10-0, lost to Pittsburgh. Kenny Pickett is a freshman in his first start. He's now a junior, and Miami has been a shambles pretty much ever since. So yeah. It might be an interesting day. I mean, it'll be a little cooler up there than it is down here for sure. But I don't think that the weather is going to be, like a factor or anything. Not like what was that NC State Notre Dame monsoon game a couple of years ago. It's not going to be anything like that. I mean, it's going to be football weather, probably in the 50s, maybe upper 40s, because it's Pittsburgh and that's the weather. But more than the weather, Miami has to deal with that team. They got a couple strong running backs. Kenny Pickett is still there. He's a mobile enough quarterback to step out of some sacks and gain some yardage, which again, if you don't remember, in 2017, his very first start, that's what he did to beat us. The Marquise French kid with 2 F's in his name is super fast. P.S. By the way, when I taught at Miramar, I guess that's like a Haitian American descendant name, kind of Creole thing. And there's somebody who was picking up their daughter whose last name was French. And we sat there like typing into the system French like regular. And then like after 20 minutes, she's like, oh no, there's 2 F's. And I'm like, ma'am, you knew there were 2 F's in your name. Like you could have said, so you know what I mean? Like it's a thing that you would say. So whatever, that's a personal story. I apologize. Anyways, and look, I didn't even get to their defense. Pat Narduzzi was the longtime defensive coordinator at Michigan State. No team in America is averaging as many sacks per game as are the Pittsburgh Panthers, going up against a team that was giving up the most sacks in America. That went from 130th to 128th or 127th, I want to say, last week after Pittsburgh sacked their opponent so many times that they fell to the bottom of the rankings on sacks allowed. So that poses a problem for Miami's offense, even if the offensive line is getting better. Now you're going against the best team in getting sacks, and that's without Rashad Weaver, who's from Cooper City down here, their number 1 defensive end who's out. That's without Keyshawn Camp, who's also from Florida, who's out for the year as a defensive tackle. So they lose 2 of their top 5 or top 4 probably defensive linemen, and they're still averaging 5.2 almost sacks a game. Yo, what? I mean, they got some strong guys in the secondary there still too. This Pittsburgh team, they're not great. They're intermittently explosive. But I think they do some things that it might be pretty challenging for Miami to contend with. And that being said, I've picked Pittsburgh to win in my ACC SEC Pick'em League this week. So I am fully expecting the Miami Hurricanes to go in and win by 2 touchdowns now. Like it would fit perfectly. Like I'm like, fine, I'm off of that. I picked Miami in pretty much every game except for Florida this year. Whatever. Okay, cool. I finally picked Pittsburgh. Miami's gonna. I watch it happen. I come talk to you next week. Watch it happen.
Yeah, Kenny Pickett, as Cam mentions, we remember it well. 10-0 Miami went into HEINZ Field, and Kenny Pickett didn't light up the world, but he played game manager very well, and he was very mobile in that game and didn't make mistakes and pulled it off. 8 touchdowns, 4 picks this year at 59% passing. A.J. Davis leads them in rushing with 3 touchdowns and a 4.9 average. And Maurice Double F French, 56 catches already this season, 3 touchdowns. And Taser Mack has 45 and 2 scores on the day. And this Pitt team, I can't remember who did they just beat. They beat somebody in the ACC last weekend to go to 2-1 in the ACC. Regardless, they've got a loss against Virginia, so they'd lose the tiebreaker there. I think they just beat, I know they beat Duke. They beat somebody else in the ACC last weekend. So they're 5-2 now. They beat UCF. They played within a touchdown of Penn State.
Syracuse.
They're a pretty good football team. They beat Syracuse last week. Thank you. On a Thursday night or a Friday night. Yes. 27-20. I recall it now. Okay, so Pitt's a pretty good football team. 5-2. Again, they beat UCF. They stayed within a touchdown of Penn State. They did lose to Virginia, but it was a close game through 3 quarters. So they're in the Coastal Division race right now.